Alrighty, so I'm here to report on my car got towed and is in the shop. I have a 2003 Subaru Outback Legacy. Um, the date of this video is February 17th, 2017. I bought my vehicle used. So, it had about 150,000 miles on it when I bought it. It's been leaking radiator fluid. I'm trying to find answers because my mechanics seem irritated, and I know they have a Subaru specialist, but I know it's going to take them longer than what they anticipate, so I want to see if I can get some feedback because I'm looking in a direction I don't want to be looking right now. So I have had, what is that shit? Antifreeze leaks. So that thing is just guzzling antifreeze, and I do live where it gets cold. Like, it's been cold, it's been winter, it's been below freezing. I drive it, it's my snow vehicle, you know. But I've been dumping antifreeze into it. I think I have a light oil leak. I know that I need to have, I need to get my vehicle assessed in general, just make sure all the tubes and pipes are on there tight. But yeah, small oil leak and leaking coolant steadily. So I've been seeing spots under my car. I'm assuming that's the coolant. I think it's coolant, whatever. The antifreeze, it's leaking antifreeze. When I turn my heater on, often when I first start my car and I get it up to, middle on the temperature gauge, it smells like exhaust. So I'm assuming that that's my heater coil is going to need replaced soon. But the heater still works. So I've been having problems as a contractor with the dry spur to work, and its maintenance has not been something I'm able to get to when it comes to things like doing, an overlook on my vehicle, and it needs to be done. So I drove my car, I got off of work, topped off my fluids because they were starting to get low. I got off of work and I drove probably about 50 miles, got into town, then I fueled it up. So I put gas in a gas station, and one of the things one of my family members is thinking is that it might be too much ethanol in the gas, because it just suddenly got warm all of a sudden, and it was like freezing 2 weeks ago. And I got gas at a gas station I don't normally get gas at, and one that's probably not frequently used because it's kind of like not in a convenient place in town. The issue that has happened with my vehicle is that I drove it about 50 miles and got to office, stopped my vehicle, turned it off, went in, turned in my paperwork, and came back out to start it and leave. And it wouldn't start. So first it was just clicking. So I let it sit for about 10 minutes. And then it kind of seemed like it was going to turn over. So I was thinking it was a battery. I got a little bit of corrosion going on with my battery. My check engine light's been on for about a month. And I took it to Advanced Auto and had them run the little computer on that. And they were telling me it was a fuel pressure. So like they were telling me that I need to screw in my gas cap. So I made sure that was on tight and everything, but that light has not turned off. They told me it was going to turn off. It hasn't turned off. So anyways, I got to work, and then I went in, turned my paperwork, come back out, try to start the car. At first it was clicking, and then I let it sit, thinking it might be the battery. And then I gave it another try, and it gave me a little more effort, but still wouldn't turn over. So I popped the hood, and I noticed, I've popped my hood on my car when it's warm before, and the little stick, that you use to prop the hood up was really hot. Like, I didn't want to touch it. It was really hot. So, I don't remember seeing any indicator on my temperature gauge when I was driving. And I normally just kind of look at that. Like, it's there, I look at it. So, I didn't notice anything. And I let it sit for a little longer. Probably another 10 minutes or so, Try to give it a start again. And, it like tried to turn over. So it sounded like it was going to start. It was ready to start, but then when it comes to after you start it, the engine is supposed to run. Nothing. That's where it's just silence. And so I gave that 2 or 3 tries, and that's what I got. So I said, okay, what the hell is going on here? And when I was trying to start it, I was receiving an indicator light that says alt oil temp on it. So I started doing research online. A lot of stuff was pointing to the transmission with that indicator light and the symptoms I was receiving. So checked my tranny fluid. It looked pretty clean. It looked good. But if there's a possibility that there's a transmission problem, I'm not driving the vehicle. Based on what I read, if your tranny overheats, then you could blow your tranny. So don't do it. I called the shop. They're my guys. And they said don't drive it. So I just let it sit overnight. And came back to it this morning. And of course, a tow truck gets there and the car starts. But I'm not going to drive it. So it gets to the shop and they call me from the bay saying that, because I didn't have a scheduled appointment, I'll have my car dropped off. And I had called them last night, and so I don't know if the guy did not write shit down or whatever, but they called me from the bay. They're like, well, it starts, so what's wrong with it? And the dude sounded really irritated. So I think it just, with the people that I've talked to, and they have a Subaru specialist over there, so maybe he needs to get over there. Again, this is a 03. It just sounds like they're having a hard time trying to figure out, is it the radiator? Like, this is what I'm having a hard time trying to figure out. Like, I'm sure that they're having difficulty knowing where to directly look so they can resolve this quickly. But as far as what I've wound up looking at so far, I've looked at the radiator, like, online, trying to understand what's going on. I've looked at the radiator. I've looked at the head gasket. I've looked at the carburetor. Like, those are the main things that this has led me to looking at. Other than that, my family's directing me like, oh, it might be dirty fuel, it might be bad fuel. It could be a filter in my tranny, it could be solenoid in my tranny, could be the head gasket. So I looked at recalls. Like, I'm looking at head gaskets, and I do see there's a good handful of stuff going around about that these head gaskets go out at about 150,000. Well, I bought my car at 150,000, so that doesn't make me happy. But I looked at recalls. So I did get a letter in the mail about the airbag. But as far as head gaskets goes, I'm seeing on the recall list here. Let's go over this recall if I still got it pulled up. There was a recall on the head gaskets. So I think that's trying to pull this up. I don't know if I still have it up. There's a recall for the 2000, 2001, and 2002, I think. I think I already closed the window. So, and then I was seeing on forum stuff, like, people talking that that some of the O3s were good, some of them were bad. They either fixed the problem or they didn't. And to what extent did they fix the problem? Other than that, if anybody wants some cool information, there's a guy looking at a 2010, and it looks like they've actually made the head gaskets accessible somehow, where you don't have to pull the engine to get to them. So yeah, I've been losing radiator fluid, or not radiator. I've been losing antifreeze. So I don't know too much about vehicles. I'm learning. But I've been losing antifreeze, and I have not crawled up under there to see if it's coming from the engine. So I'm wondering, like, another thing the shop was wondering, because again, it was not the specialist I was talking to when I was trying to figure out if I could get my car in over there. Wondering if there's a fail-safe for something like transmission problems or overheating issues. I'm wondering why I didn't see nothing on my temperature gauge. But if my stick for lifting the hood up was hot to the touch where I don't want to touch it, then am I likely experiencing an engine overheat without getting a reading on my temperature gauge? Because I didn't experience any symptoms. No smoke, no nothing, you know. I just drove it, and then when I tried to start it, it wouldn't start, and I noticed it was hot, and I had a hot indicator on my dash. So, and it started the next day after cooling down. So, if anybody has any feedback, that would be cool. That's what's going on with my car. Thank you for your help.